Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 3 of this AMD Premier League Season 2 Qualifier Finals match of the two top Vietnamese teams right now in the Southeast Asian scene, of course. I'm B-Ballin, in association with Dotalk. With this cast, 1-1 is the score between 1st-Vietnam and Gameware. As this has been a pretty interesting series, seems like Gameware have a very stable strategy that they like to rely on. They like to pick up Xiaodin as well as Nix and try to get themselves an Alchemist as well. Meanwhile, 1st-Vietnam a little bit more prone to experimenting, but so far this series has been incredibly sort of lopsided. The first game, 1st-Vietnam just dominated, and the second game, Gameware dominated. So we're going to have to see if we can get a more solid Game 3 finish, as Gameware gonna ban out the Weaver. 1st-Vietnam will get rid of the Batrider. Again, pretty standard ban since the Gameware's team does have the first pick, but look for Gameware to try to get themselves a Xiaodin or the Nix with their opening choice. Again, those seem to be the sports that they rely on quite heavily, and those have been the heroes that they have picked up as soon as they can get the opportunity to do just that. Gameware, they ban out the Weaver because in Game 1, 1st-Vietnam did dominate quite hard with the Weaver, and Weaver, if you don't really have that much experience against him in a professional environment, can just be an absolute nightmare to deal with, especially for heroes like Xiaodin and Nix. I mean, those heroes just don't have that good of a time up against the likes of Weaver. 1st-Vietnam debating long and hard who they want to get rid of. Will they get rid of the Treant once again? Or will they try to get the Treant for themselves, since I think that must be what they're debating. They think, okay, Gameware, they have been known to pick up Xiaodin as well as the Nix Assassin, but instead they're going to get rid of the Lifestealer, so they're going to leave Xiaodin as well as Nix Assassin as well as Treant left in the pool. And we'll see if Gameware deviate from the strategy. They're going to pick up Xiaodin, and we'll have to see how 1st-Vietnam respond to this choice. They're going to get themselves a Nix Assassin as well as Jack Hunter saying, nah, Gameware, we're going to take you out of your comfort zone. What are you going to do about that? But I'm sure Gameware are well adjusted to dealing against Nix Assassin in general, since Xiaodin with the other supports fare pretty strongly as well. But Gameware are going to go with their go-to carry, the Alchemist, recognizing that, okay, 1st-Vietnam will likely get rid of the Alchemist in the next round of bans, since we've picked it up in every single game thus far. But you could say the same thing for 1st-Vietnam. 1st-Vietnam have picked up the Gyrocopter every single game thus far as well. 1st-Vietnam gonna get rid of that Queen of Pain. The Queen of Pain middle lane by Gameware was just really annoying to go up against, but I don't know if they really necessarily fought the Queen of Pain with their best ability, since they didn't have any lockdown potential. At least now they have a Nix Assassin who can potentially stun Queen of Pain and Mana Burner when she does blink in. Gameware just going with the standard bans, banning out the Templar Assassin. Seems like they really don't like facing TA. And 1st-Vietnam gonna get rid of the puck, so 1st-Vietnam could potentially run the Nix Assassin mid. I've gotta believe this will be a Nix Assassin support. Gameware, I think they're probably going to run a defensive trial, and once again, since it did work out for them pretty successfully in Game 2, and their goes to trial in Game 1 just flopped abysmally.
10 seconds remaining.
We'll see if Visage is snatched up, because in both games Visage was a choice, but in both games Visage did lose. So I don't know if teams are feeling confident of Visage in this particular match. But if Visage is snatched up, look for the team to secure that Visage to go on the offensive. Gameware thinking long and hard, should we ban out the Darkseer and let 1st-Vietnam get access into that very, very strong hero, since Darkseer has been the go-to choice for the offlane in this particular series. In both games he did help to secure the win, and with his ability to get a fast mecha online, since he can jungle, whereas a lot of offlaners can't really jungle as quickly, and with his abilities to just almost single-handedly win team fights, Darkseer is a very, very, very powerful offlane choice for both teams. So I think Gameware are debating whether they want to give up another strong mid, or they want to give up the offlane choice. They're going to get rid of the Nature's Prophet, interesting enough, so they don't want to do with the split pushing. This might indicate they might go for more of a 5-man style this game, although, I don't know, Gameware seem to have some pretty stable picks in mind when they go for drafting. 1st-Vietnam, if I were them, I'd try to secure myself the Darkseer, because a lot of mid-solo heroes have already been eliminated, so I might be able to surprise the enemy team with my mid-solo. But meanwhile, Darkseer is such a strong option. In a lot of cases, you can search for the Nix Assassin, you can search for the Gyrocopter, and Alchemist Surge is just impossible to bring down. He's so difficult to handle, and I mean, you can Surge out of Xiaodin and Purge. So if I were 1st-Vietnam, My eye would be planted firmly on the purple face of the Darkseer. But seems like 1st-Vietnam don't really know what they want to go for. They're going to get themselves Keeper of the Light. First time we've seen a Keeper Light in the series. And I'm not too sure what this bodes. This could potentially be a defensive challenge. Keeper Light also does remarkably well in an aggressive challenge since he does do a lot of damage. But I'm inclined to believe this will be a defensive challenge Keeper Light as support. Just going to pull, try to get the Illuminates off. Gameware going to immediately respond with the Darkseer, which was very much expected. I mean, this pick was not in doubt once 1st-Vietnam picked up the Keeper of the Light. I'm not too sure why 1st-Vietnam secured themselves Keeper of the Light when Darkseer has proven himself to be a really strong force in this series thus far. But 1st-Vietnam made their choice. They had the option to get themselves a Darkseer. And something that Keeper of the Light can do better than Darkseer is, of course, you can farm your lane with the carry in the late stages game and just recall the carry back to any team fight. So maybe this is more of a turtling defense lineup that 1st-Vietnam could potentially go for, since they do have really very annoying abilities to go up against. They're going to have to go up against Call Down and Illuminate flying in for Gameware to actually break the base. But in terms of mobility, this lineup that 1st-Vietnam is currently running is incredibly immobile. So I think they might be in a bit of trouble once Darkseer picks up the vacuum, since they don't really have any mobility to juke out of the way of the vacuum wall combination. We'll see what 1st-Vietnam decides to go for. Again, they could potentially run an aggressive challenge with Keeper Light, Gyrocopter, Nick Sesson. They have the Nick Sesson to set up the Rocket Barrage and Illuminate flying in, which does do a lot of damage, but against Disruption, that might not be the best option. So I'm not too sure what this lane will be for 1st-Vietnam. They could also put the Nick Sesson mid, since a lot of mids have been removed. Although I'm inclined to believe that Clockwork will be a choice, since both teams, I think they've scrimmed against each other quite a bit, because Clockwork has been banned out. But 1st-Vietnam going to secure themselves a Chaos Knight. Interesting decision. So they want to go for a bit of early game aggressive behavior. I guess they know that early game is their forte, since they just played super aggressively in game 2 despite being behind, and I mean that dug them into a bigger deficit. But I guess they want to end the game going out with what they know, which is a lot of aggressive behavior. But Chaos Knight without Wisp is, of course, a lot more limited, since you don't get as much mobility. You don't get the easy tether stun with the Reality Rift combination. But Chaos Knight as a hero is still a bit underrated, I think, just because he's so tanky, so annoying to deal with in the early stages of the game. And if you pair him with Keeper Light, he will pretty much never run out of mana. Gameware going to get the Jakiro on the side, so they're going to have an immense amount of team fight. And breaking against the base of Gameware is going to be really, really difficult for the side of 1st-Vietnam. So I'm not too sure what both teams will decide to do. I mean, obviously Gameware will look to turtle, and turtle hard. But 1st-Vietnam, even if they get an early game advantage, I don't know if they can actually push into the base. But they do have Gyrocopter to fall back on in the late stages of the game. And this Chaos Knight choice also confused me on to what the laning situation will actually be for 1st-Vietnam, since they definitely won't run an aggressive trial now. I mean, they could potentially run a Nyx Caper Chaos Knight trial and put Gyrocopter in the safe lane or in the solo mid position. Gyrocopter can fare alright against the likes of Darkseer, although it is not an advisable matchup. Or 1st-Vietnam could potentially put Chaos Knight middle, get him paired with something like an A, which is still a decent combination. It's no Wisp Chaos Knight, but you can get those tether stuns off, or those Ancient Apparition Cold Feet stuns off relatively easily. But both teams banning out mid-heroes in response, and we're going to see what the pick will be chosen. It will be the Stormsphere for 1st-Vietnam, as they seem to be intending to go super aggressive, but I mean their most mobile hero is Storm Spirit. I'm not too sure how they're going to follow up the Storm Spirit initiation without just always being together and always getting position. But I like that they have more than one disable this game. That's nice to see. Gameware, they have their tri-lane, they have their offlaner. All they need is their mid laner. And who matches up well against Storm Spirit with the remaining mid solo options? I'm not too sure. You could potentially go for something like a Clockwork if you want to go super turtly. Although Clockwork versus Storm Spirit isn't really the best matchup. Although, I mean, Storm Spirit really can't kill Clockwork. They're going to go for an Owl Devourer, so this is going to give Storm Spirit a lot of problems in lane, since Storm Spirit, of course, is an intelligence hero. The intelligence drained by the Astron Prison is going to drain a lot of his base damage. And Storm Spirit, the good thing about Storm Spirit is that he has a relatively high base mana pool, and his nuke doesn't cost very much, so he can spam very freely and liberally in the early stages. But once Owl Devourer hits level 3, hits level 5, Storm Spirit really can't do anything in lane. so Storm Spirit has to look to usher away OD at the very beginning. But, I mean, at the very least, 1st-Vietnam do have a next assassin who thrives on that OD's intelligence by a tremendous amount. So, I don't know, I feel like this Gameware pick was just picked up because they're like, alright, we need a mid-hero that can beat Storm, let's just pick up OD. It was picked up with any other goal in mind.
Prepare for battle.
If that's the case, that might be in a bit of a tricky situation since OD is quite an easy hero to gank in general, and even though Darkseer will likely be jungling in the offlane position, they're going to have to be careful because they do, 1st-Vietnam do have a Nyx assassin and they have a Chaos Knight who could potentially go for some early game ganks, as introducing the players on both teams as 1st-Vietnam actually charging forward very bravely. It seems like they are very much intent on going aggressive, which is obviously the correct decision since they did pick up a triple core of Chaos Knight, Gyrocopter, as well as Storm Spirit. But introducing the players and teams, are going to have Ace playing the Outward Devourer on the side of Gameware. Jakiro will be handled by X. Autumn Wind is going to be playing the Darkseer. Observer Ward will be planted. We'll see if Chaos Knight falls for that. I think he did manage to catch a glimpse. No shouting. We'll get in position for a disruption as the fight will break out. Alchemist charging up the sun. Here comes the Ice Path. Illuminate will be used to cover the Chaos Knight retreat, but is there enough damage? Iron Shell doing a lot of damage, but Chaos Knight just simply took way too much, and he is going to give first blood towards the Jakiro. That will mean an immediate flanker upgrade. At the very least, he gave it to the Jakiro, which is pretty much the only thing you could say, but that's definitely going to make the try a lot more difficult for 1st-Vietnam. But introducing the rest of the players, they're going to have Autumn Wind playing the Darkseer, and Phuong Na playing the Alchemist. On the side of 1st-Vietnam, we're going to have Misa playing the Storm Spirit. Secret is playing the Keeper of the Light, Yang is playing the Chaos Knight, Top is playing the Gyrocopter, and YY is going to be playing that Nyx assassin. So in terms of try-lane versus try-lane, I mean, I think 1st-Vietnam will be able to get farm. I don't think they'll be able to get any kills since this is such a defensive try in general. It's actually, 1st-Vietnam might be in a bit of trouble. Ice Path will be dropped, Disruption setting up the stun, but the stun is not going to hit Naily. Only a 1-second cast spell, unfortunately for the Chaos Knight. If it was a 2-second, X might have been picked off, but now Shouting and Loud Child looking to tangle out will be able to tangle out successfully. And I was going to say, 1st-Vietnam might have some problems in this Tron since I don't know if they'll actually pick up any kills because this defense Tron has so much defensive abilities. They have Ice Path, they have Disruption, they have Alchemist Stun to bail them out as well. And of course the dual melees won't really be able to keep Alchemist back from touching the CS, and you can see Alchemist already picked up 2 CS. Storm Spirit rotating top, nice move in the end, because Gyrocopter against OD, I mean Gyrocopter will still be very annoyed by having his mana drained, but at the very least it won't be his base damage that's getting drained, and Gyrocopter's Black Hand doesn't really cost too much in terms of mana, and he will be able to do some form of harassment, so a good rotation in the end. But Storm Spirit, he's not going to have the best time against Darkseer either, since he has very low range, and Darkseer can just sort of bully him out of the way whenever he really wants to. Unfortunately for the Dire Ward, they weren't able to block off the spawn successfully. Maybe they only just recently planted this Observer Ward, but it seems like the supports were able to pick up a bit of experience, although Keeper of the Light, being the best creep spawn jacker in the game, gonna be able to pick up a little bit of farm in exchange. But yeah, I mean, until Keeper of the Light does get that level 2, the tri-lane of 1st-Vietnam gonna be played. Of course, we played a lot more defensive. Once Keeper of the Light does hit level 2, you'll have Chakra Magic to constantly sustain the Chaos Knight and allow him to be a lot more free in the usage of his casts. But at this point, you can see the Radiant Trial getting very far into experience. All their sports level 2 definitely helped from the first blood. Since it was a 5-man engagement, I think every hero picked up around 39 experience, and that's pretty much it. But still, they have been able to take a sizable experience advantage. And now they probably know that there is a ward blocking off the pull spot. But since the Dire do have 2 melee heroes, they really can't zone out the Alchemist effectively whatsoever. And Alchemist is choosing enough flicking the point to Acid Spray. Gonna get a bit of extra damage on his side. I expect him at level 4 to pick up 1 point of Grievous Greed, since I don't think he really needs 2 points in Acid Spray, since his Tron won't really be that offensive. Storm Spirit, 700 gold in the bank. Probably waiting to Courier get back to Fountain before he buys up his items. Likely going to be a bottle Maybe some boots. I'm not too sure what Stormsphere will go for, but it seems like he's throwing relatively well, 12-2 up against 13-1. He won't really be able to stop the Darkseer until he gets level 6. And meanwhile, Gyrocopter versus OD. Seems like OD has a slight advantage, and that regeneration room just going to be very annoying for the Gyrocopter to deal with. As he's getting zoned out pretty effectively. I would have just rather forced the OD to cast the Imprisonment, and I think that's a great time to use that so you won't get any creeps denied, and you still have the Flat Cannon online, which you can use to harass the OD back. And that will force the regeneration usage by Ace. As me on the bottom lane, Illuminate will be channeled. Just going to do some pot shots here and there. Keep it light. Going to use the Chakra Magic to fuel himself up, but we'll hit that level 3 relatively soon. It seems like this Chine has evened up a little bit since the Dire or the Rain aren't able to pull anymore. The Dire have been able to exert greater control over this Chine in general. And the Darkseer gonna look to perhaps cut off the retreat of Storm Spirit. Storm Spirit not even close to level 6 as the creeps are approaching the tower very rapidly, but Darkseer, this side's better against it, doesn't have any bottle charges and didn't have enough mana to cast 2 Ion Shells or an Ion Shell as well as the Surge. Just gonna back off for now. Storm Spirit, not too sure what he's doing as the courier gonna fly all the way top to refill Darkseer's bottle, and that means that courier will be really slow. And OD probably won't be able to get the best room control against like the Gyrocopter since he doesn't have an AoE ability, but Ace able to sustain his HP, and Essence Aura proc is definitely going to help him out in the mana department. And he still has a full bottle since he did manage to get an early regeneration rune. Gyrocopter immediately going to pop the Flat Cannon once he gets enough mana to do just that. And will do a bit of damage towards OD, but doesn't have too much intelligence to play with, so if he takes too much harassment, he might be in a bit of trouble. But both heroes going to hit level 6 at around the same point. Meanwhile, the engagement will go down to the bottom lane. Illuminate is going to clip the Alchemist just barely, as the Chaos Knight will be driven away, so it seems like a neutral engagement overall. Alchemist going to have to use a salve. No, his supports don't have any regeneration rune. And hopefully he gets shipped towards him. It is going to be a salve, otherwise that would be a huge loss for Rain, not having their carry farm up. But it seems like the Dire are able to sustain themselves a bit more in the lane. Chaos Knight does have pretty high armor, and with the mana constantly being granted to him by the Keep of the Light, he's able to cast a lot more spells than the Chaos Knight otherwise should be able to do. But yeah, back to the OD pick. I feel like, again, this was just a spur-of-the-moment pick saying we need a mid because 3 heroes on the side of 1st-Vietnam build towards a BKB. Storm Spirit, Chaos Knight, as well as Gyrocopter all can potentially build towards a BKB. And as you all know, BKB just completely nullifies OD. And actually, BKB in general just nullifies the entirety of Gameware's lineup. So, assuming 1st-Vietnam do not get themselves into too big of a deficit, I think with the BKBs they might be able to overpower the side of Gameware in the late stages of the game.
It was never yours.
But you can see OD with that superior base damage, being able to constantly steal intelligence, able to beat Gyrocopter quite handily in the CS department. And Gyrocopter is just playing back, playing smart, does not want to give up any deaths whatsoever. And Storm Spirit has now hit that level 7, so he can potentially dive in for that Darkseer if he does feel like he can pick up the kill. Jakiro, level 4, checking out the Shouting, he's level 3. Alchemist, level 4 as well. Not getting that Gorilla Skate at level 4, instead getting that extra point to Acid Spray, but he's not really using Acid Spray at all, which is why I'm a bit hesitant. Maybe he is, I'm just not seeing it. He's doing a bit of passive harassment here and there. I mean, I don't think he's just charging up the stun for nothing. But now the creep camps have respawned, the supports are just going to look to start pulling once again, as Chaos Knight likely has already finished his strength trade. It's going to pick up the Bracer relatively soon, actually going to pick up the TP Scroll to perhaps rotate in for a gank on the middle lane if the missile does fly and catch OD off guard. OD going to secure the treads. Tranquil Boots is favored by a lot of OD players, but I mean, treads definitely understandable. You want to have that extra bit to survivability, and OD does want to attack as fast as possible. We are going to see a rotation by Gyrocopter. You wouldn't expect to see a Gyrocopter rotation, since Gyrocopter is not really the most notable of gankers. And you can see the Rain playing so defensively. Chaos Knight gonna dive in, and now the Rain should know that Gyrocopter is in position, but Alchemist, does he have vision? He's gonna gas down the Keep of Light, but the Illuminate is still gonna fly through regardless. Call down, gonna do a lot of damage, but Chaos Knight will be able to secure one kill. Gonna look to kill off X as well. X is out of mana as he's gonna get barraged up. Will he be able to escape? Can't get the Ice Path online, and now Keeper Light could be in a bit of trouble, but Nick Sesson gonna draw a bit of the tower aggro. So a good engagement being won by the Dire. They did have to rotate their Gyrocopter, not really the best mid lane ganker, but they just dove in with the Chaos Knight, and there's really nothing the Rain could do. OD still farming up, but again, I feel like the Dire, if they just keep farming, looking for the safer pickoffs, they will be able to win in the end. As here comes the engagement onto Autumn Wind will be in large hole, but he's just a little bit too tanky. Storm Spirit does have enough mana to ball out of a sticky scenario, so good mana conservation in the end, but is just going to teleport himself back to base rather than risking his life and risking his mana too much longer. But yeah, at 1st-Vietnam just continue to play cautiously, look for some safe pickoffs. Eventually they'll get their BKBs, and at that point OD is just essentially completely nullified. And the Dire are very close to securing the bottom tower. I've got to imagine that they are looking forward to taking this tower down very, very soon. They do not want to let the tower get in deny range. You know, Autumn Wind went for the Soul Ring as well as Bottle. So went for a very, very greedy mana build, and you can see Bottle on the offlaner is just not nearly as effective as it used to be because of the Bottle Crow nerf, since the courier has to travel such a long way, and that's why I went back into Soul Ring, but really not the best build. I mean, this will save you from going Soul Ring and Arcane Boots, but his mechanism will be severely delayed. And Storm Spirit just walking forward, will bait out the Surge, and just manage to calculate the Surge time. Unfortunately, what is this build? Level 3 Static Remnant, level 2 pull? That does not pull you far enough to get you back into Static Remnant range. I don't know what this build is.
Regeneration.
Because with that Static Remnant, he might have been able to secure a kill because of that extra bit of burst damage, but I don't know, he just wasted a lot of mana now, and I don't know if this Storm Spirit is necessarily an experienced Storm Spirit player. And he's bottling up on Inchal Treads, he's not even getting that full boost in terms of mana. So both teams making a couple of mistakes, and Storm Spirit, every bit of mana is so precious, as I'm not too sure why he's not bottling up on Agility Treads. I really, really am questioning the Storm Spirit decision making. He's got to pick up level 3 pull. Alright, now at least he can go for an engage and get the Static Remnant damage off. I mean, I guess that's better than nothing. You know, the Dire just going to zone the Rain out completely since Gyrocopter was missing off the map, and I think the Rain did spot him picking up that haste rune. And all the while, OD is farming up, has picked up the Strength Treads. Gonna pick up a Circlet of Nobility as well. I don't know what he's going to build that into. Might be a Null Talisman, might be a Bracer. Who knows? You know, Chaos Knight level 5. You can see his farm is pretty respectable, 50 CS at this stage. Definitely nothing to be ashamed about. As Autumn Wind taking a lot of physical harassment, but does have 7 charges on the Magic Stick, so should be okay if Storm Spirit does decide to dive. As now Chaos Knight just way extended himself, but actually does manage to dodge the stone with the Phantasm. Very nicely done, as Jakiro gonna find himself killed off. Here comes rotation, but Darkseid Shadow Demon gonna die as well, as Chaos Knight doing a lot of damage, but here comes OD on the pursuit, looking to kill off the Chaos Knight. Will be able to kill off Keeper Light. Stun will go down onto the Darkseid. One more orb will secure the kill, and now Nick Sesson gonna charge right back in to try to kill the Darkseid and fails abysmally. I'm a bit confused on why Nick Sesson did that. He would have been able to escape very easily. I mean, he thought support for a Darkseid would be worth it, but obviously didn't calculate the damage correctly enough. Maybe thought he could have gotten a mana burn off as well, but in the end, Radiant definitely came out ahead. I mean, they lost the Chaos Knight, and the Dire or the Radiant didn't lose any of their supports. You know, Chaos Knight is level 6, did pick up that point Phantasm, did use it to nicely dodge the stun. Good usage of the Phantasm by the Chaos Knight player, has already secured his drums. As meanwhile, Storm Spirit will ball in, baiting out the imprisonment on the OD, but Disruption will come in, just so many plays to keep it target invulnerable. Now Storm Spirit will just get Chakra Magicked online. Storm Spirit now bottling up on Agility Treads. Even more to Strength Treads, I might just slam my keyboard in frustration. But checking out the levels at this stage, it seems like the Reign have a hefty level advantage. Their mid-soul was uninterrupted. Darkseer wasn't really kept back adequately whatsoever. As the stun will go down to the Darkseer. You're going to use Reality Rift as well. Manbird will fly in. Nice chain stuns by the Dire. They should be able to kill the Darkseer. They will be able to do just that. And that was very, very necessary as Darkseer was getting very close to his mechanism. I don't think he was in any danger of picking up the mechanism component, as now Ace is going to get initiated by the Storm Spirit, and you can see what a difference that level 3 pull makes, as now he's going to initiate onto the Jakiro. Storm Spirit seems to be going in and can't really be stopped, as he still has enough mana. He is going to chase the Jakiro, and Jakiro will get killed off by the Storm Spirit. Nice engagement by the Dire. Just caught Rain a little bit out of position, and the Rain definitely paid for it, as that gave the Dire a good advantage, and that's going to allow them to contend back in the experience department. And now you can see they've actually taken the experience advantage. They've taken the gold advantage as well because of that tower kill. And now Nick Assassin doesn't have enough mana to use both the spells, but Storm Spirit is going to come back in. Weird focus fire decisions, as I think they wouldn't have been able to pick up a kill regardless with the teleports coming in. But at the very least, they baited out a mass exodus of teleports, and looks like Storm Spirit is going to be spotted in the flying vision of the Remnant. It's not going to spawn as a vacuum, not going to be able to pull the Storm Spirit back, with Storm Spirit actually in a lot of trouble. Will be recalled to safety by the Keeper Light. Good communication by the team of 1st-Vietnam, as even though they made some mistakes here and there, it seems like their communication is top-notch. And all the while, Chaos Knight's farming up, and he's going to go straight to the BKB, and once he picks up the BKB, he's going to be able to do literally whatever he wants. You know, Phantasm will be trying to push down this tower a little bit more quickly. He does have a Siege Wagon, but the Rain do have Glyph. I think the Rain will be able to defend this, and they are going to pop the Glyph. And Chaos Knight should just look to escape on out of there, as Ice Path will hold the Chaos Knight illusion in place for now, but now the tower is in deny range. Chaos Knight, he's going to have to consider whether he wants to go in or not, and Darkseer will get the tower deny, as Stun will go on to the Darkseer. Nick Assassin will look to engage, as Reality Rift cancelled, but the Ice Path was very nicely placed by the Jakiro, and Darkseer will be able to escape. Still, a tower being lost means that there's more map control for the Dire to do what they love to do, which is just to go in and kill people. And middle tower will not be denied. Gyrocopter actually is able to secure the last hit. And I've got to imagine Gyrocopter is going to rush a BKB himself. You know, OD seems like he's going to go into the 4-staff build. Again, makes a lot of sense. Darkseer getting pretty close to finishing his mechanism, but the Dire have just been able to take a good manage to get a lot of momentum on their side very, very quickly from those couple of kills. And those towers going to give them a sizable goal advantage. You can see the goal advantage favoring the Dire quite heavily. The experience advantage not favoring them as much, but now the Dire, if they get a medallion, they could potentially go to work on Roshan, and the Radiant don't really have the best ways to scout out the Roshan pit engagement. 4-staff is now finished up on the Outworld Devourer, as he now has a bit of extra mobility to escape the Wrath, but there are so many disables on the side of the Dire that, I mean, 4-staff might simply not be enough for the OD to actually survive. Meanwhile, Storm Spirit gonna go for an Orchid. I like this choice a lot. I mean, he doesn't really need BKB at this stage, because the only disable that can really keep him locked in place is gonna be Ice Path, as well as the stun. Stun of Alchemist, of course. And Orchid means he can just go in and look for some soul pickoffs because of that extra burst of damage that Soul Burn does give you. And that silence, of course, going to be invaluable against the likes of OD and Darkseer. You know, Chaos Knight working his way towards the BK. Seems like Nick Assassin was able to kill the Alchemist on the bottom lane, as Alchemist is still far away. He wants to go for the Shadow Blade, but it's just been denied so heavily on the bottom lane tri lane. As even though that tri lane wasn't able to pick up that many kills until Gyrocopter rotated in, they were able to mitigate a lot of Alchemist's presence, as he is going to go back into 2 points of Gruel's Greed once again. You know, there will be a surge forward by Darkseer, but they didn't have a proper avenue to initiate the engagement, as this tower is going to get slowly but surely pushed down. Keeper Light will constantly be able to fuel up everybody, as Ice Path will fly in. It seems like Void is called by Chaos Knight. I'm not too sure what that means. And the Dire are just going to back off for now. Don't want to give up too much free experience for OD, and I think they recognize Darkseer would probably have the mechanism at this stage, even though he didn't reveal himself, so why take too reckless of a team fight? You know, Chaos Knight could potentially be in a bit of a tricky situation. OD has that 2 points in Arcane Boot Orb Um, Interesting enough, not maxing Essence Aura. A lot of players do like to get that max Essence Aura so his teammates can spam a bit more freely. But maybe OD wanted to get that Exponent or Kano before in some early game engagements. But now Darkseer is in a lot of trouble. He is most likely going to get picked off. No, the missile is only just now cast as the creep block is going to come in from the Nyx Assassin, trying to hold Darkseer in place. Darkseer looks like he will be able to escape, only just though, as the Call-On going to clear up the creeps regardless. And will OD try to finish off the Nyx Assassin? Looks like that will not be the case. Stun going to go down, and here comes rotation by the Gyrocopter. 4-second stun as Disruption as well as Ice Path will protect the OD for now. Reality Rift, will it be cast? No, it will not, but Phantasm was expended by the Chaos Knight. Now Storm Sphere arriving a little bit too late towards the party. But he is going to trap the Alchemist now, but he is stunned in place from the Alchemist stun, and he is going to burn through a lot of mana. Limit's going to fly in. Both teams just trading punches, but who will land out the first knockout punch? The missile going to force the OD back. He can't really do as much as he'd hoped in these engagements, but I think the Dire should back off. They've expended so much mana, and they've expended a lot of the resources. I don't know if they can actually take this successful engagement. Alchemist charging up to stun. Gonna have to be careful. He's going to stun himself, but he's going to make it to the high ground where he should be safe. And I don't know if the Dire can't even get a tower off this, but in the end they're just able to zone the Radiant a bit more effectively. So in the end, pretty neutral engagement. It didn't really favor either team. I guess it favored the Dire a bit more since the Dire were able to play a very, very aggressive as a reward, and that can allow easier storm dives and easier Chaos Knight initiations. And I like what this Chaos Knight is doing. He's always carrying Clarity since Chaos Knight won't always be with Keeper Light, so he can't always get the fortification. But here comes the Force Staff engagement by the OD. Ice Path will fall up, but if Chaos Knight just looks to teleport out of there, Stunning Eclipse will be dropped. 4-second stun will be dropped on OD. It should allow Chaos Knight to escape. 4-second stun. Gonna delay most ganks, and very crucially, that Stunning Eclipse 160-second cooldown means it's not gonna be up for the next teamfight engagement. So that might spark the initiation that the Dire desperately need, as Gyrocopter, interesting enough, not going to go for a straight BK, instead going to go for Yasha. Maybe trying to amplify his farm since he is a bit underfarmed, or maybe just trying to escape with the chasing ability that the Yasha does give you. Well, Yasha was his choice in the end. You know, Misa gonna have the Orchid up after this next set of creeps, and now he can just roam in a bit more aggressively, look to isolate the Shouty, and Shouty is not even level 6. Takiro's only just been level 6, and the experience graph that the Dire have been able to take is absolutely tremendous at this stage. The gold advantage is pretty big as well. Now Alchemist's gonna have to be careful. He never knows when Storm Spirit is approaching the creep wave, as Storm Spirit is revealing himself. But he doesn't know if Storm Spirit is backed up by any friendly people that want to claim Alchemist's head. Meanwhile, Gyrocopter just continued to farm a past the Delta Dangerine, and again, when GW just gets outfarmed like this, it definitely benefits the side of 1st-Vietnam since they have yet to use any BKB charges, so their BKBs will just be able to do whatever they want against the likes of OD, and they have a triple core against a dual core. I mean, Darkseer does scale very well into the late stages of the game, but Shadow Demon, not so much. Jakiro, he does alright in the late game, I suppose, but I think everybody inside of 1st-Vietnam scales for the most part. And until OD finishes BKB, that mana burn by the Nyx will hurt, even though Nyx only level 2 mana burn at this stage is going to look to get more and more levels, and we'll be able to pick up that level 3 mana burn very, very soon. And OD, since the laning phase has now ended, you can see his rate of farm has slowed down significantly, since he can't just sit in the middle lane, camp his ass there, and just look to farm up uninterrupted. Now he's sort of always forced into a defensive posture, since he can't really rely. He doesn't really know where Nyx Assassin or Storm Spirit is at all times. As the tower gonna get in denied, Shadow Demon looking for disruption. We'll be able to spot the Nyx Assassin, but the Call-On gonna actually kill off the Shadow Demon, and actually Nyx Assassin will be able to escape. Very, very unfortunate engagement for the Radiant, as that Call-On was perfectly placed. And the Radiant giving up a lot of damage on their tier 2 top in exchange. So it seems like Dire have been able to take a huge amount of control over this game. They've had the BKB finished up on the Chaos Knight now, and the mechanism's actually almost finished on the Keeper of the Light, despite Darkseer finishing his own mechanism. The only thing that's going well for the Radiant is that they've been able to get 2 tower denies out of 4 but the fact that they have only been able to claim towers, whereas the Dire has been able to claim technically 3 towers, if you counted the denies as a half a tower, means that the Dire are still very much ahead, and they have been able to exert a firm grasp on this game. The BKB's finished on the Chaos Knight. They want to look to initiate. They're going to get the Impale off. The limit is not going to hit whatsoever. They will get a 3-second stun onto the Jakiro. Disruption, or Astral Imprisonment, will preserve the life of Jakiro for now. Wall will be dropped, and seems like the Dire are looking to get on out of there. The Wall just controls them way too well. Storm Spirit coming on trouble, but the Saiyans clip just dropped a little bit too late. So first BKB charge, no kills were expected. Nick's assassin actually might be the first one to die when everything is said and done. So a good defense being mustered by the Rain. And again, it's actually very difficult to push in against Rain once they're grouped up as 5. You have Darkseer Vacuum, you have Acid Spray, you have Jakiro, you have Shadow Poison. One of the more annoying knives to push in against. But I think if the Dire just keep out farming, eventually they'll get so far ahead in terms of items that they will be able to control. And I like that they're consistently farming the jungle, they're consistently farming the lanes, they're farming the opponent's jungle, and in the end they will be coming out ahead by a sizable amount in terms of the CS, just because they're able to control both jungles as well as every lane that they need to contest. But the Rain managed to get a successful defense off. You can see the gold and experience graph gonna tick upward slightly for the Rain, but you can see they're still in a pretty sizable deficit. And seems like the Dire are just going to continue to farm up, as now they're playing a lot more patient than they used to, as I think they know the stakes are on the line since this is the final of the qualifiers. And Jackcopter are going to rush that BKB, and that will be up relatively soon. So with that, OD literally won't be able to do anything towards the main 3 heroes on the side of 1st-Vietnam, since Storm Spirit is already making his way towards his own BKB. Good decision to buy 1st-Vietnam. Earn was a choice by Nick's assassin, just going to go for all out support. Mechanism is going to be delivered to keep it light, so it seems like 1st-Vietnam going to get all their mage items shipped towards him. You know, Alchemist has not even picked up a Shadow Blade. It's just very, very scary for him to actually approach the lane, but now has finished that Shadow Blade with the Shadow Element going to be delivered to him very, very shortly. Jakiro not too much in terms of items, as the Smoke of Deceit will be utilized by the Radiant. Darkseer, not too sure if he's going to go for BKB or Aghanims. BKB I think would be a really strong option against the mass amount of disables on the side of the Dire. Meanwhile, Storm Spirit, the only one on the side of Dire who's revealing himself. So will Storm Spirit look for initiation? No, he's going to decide better of it, as here comes the Force Staff. OD is going to reveal himself in Storm Spirit. And immediately knows something's up. He's going to pop the Haste Rune. And meanwhile, the Dire themselves are smoked up. And we'll see. The team fight might break out relatively shortly. Darkseer going to approach a secret shop, but could be in a bit of an unfortunate situation. Keep it light. Will break the Smoke of Deceit, as Rain did not spot out the smoke. As here comes the initiation by Storm Spirit, going to silence out the Alchemist, preventing him from ulting up. That is going to greatly reduce his effectiveness. But here comes the vacuum, going to catch everybody, as well as the wall, just doing so much damage. And it seems like the Dire are very confused. This BKB by Chaos Knight, once again, not proving to be very useful, as the BKB is now worn off, going to run through the wall once again. These vacuum walls just a little bit too much. I'm not too sure what Dire chose to engage without having all 3 of their BKBs online, because I think that's not a smart idea, as Chaos Knight might be in a bit of trouble. Storm Spirit still has a lot of mana to work through, but here comes Stanny's Clips. Chaos Knight will dodge a lot of damage on one, will take a substantial amount of damage, but there's just so many ways to protect your allies. Illuminate will do a lot of sustained damage. Here comes Nyx on the back on Darkseer, will be able to secure the kill on Chaos Knight, but it seems like the Dire will be able to clean house. They managed to kill all 3 of the utility heroes on the side of the Rain in exchange for the Chaos Knight, and only Chaos Knight uses BKB. I think that was worth it for the Dire, especially if they're able to claim a tier 2 as well, which I think they should be able to do with relative impunity. So this tier 2 going to be brought down very, very soon, and now the Dire have taken an immense lead. And with the BKBs all online, I think they could swing around for Roshan, and you can see the graphs really reflecting the huge advantage the Dire currently have. Now Storm Spirit won't be interrupted. The annoying thing for the Dire is that their BKBs are made a lot less effective since there is imprisonment as well as disruption to preserve the life of Autumnwind. Gonna find himself orchided up. Should be okay. Jakiro gonna rotate himself in with an Ice Path, but no! Storm Spirit actually gonna juke out of the way. He's gonna try to teleport. He's gonna die. Let's see how much gold he gives up. A dominating streak 500 gold being given up towards the Shadow Demon, not the worst thing in the world. But now Alchemist in a lot of trouble. Send Dust will be pop, keep life, will secure the kill on Jakiro. Meanwhile, Chaos Knight gonna charge in his BKB, is back online. Amon will die to one more last hit by the Gyrocopter. Dust gonna reveal the Shadow Demon as well as the Alchemist, as they will be able to kill off the Alchemist most likely. The Shadow Demon will escape, but OD gonna be in a lot of trouble as well. Will they try to pursue their attentions on the OD? He is gonna get zapped by the Manburn and just bolted by the Chaos Knight. And Dire are gonna secure themselves the tier 2, and Dire just looking in dominating position in this game. They're gonna pressure the tier 3. The Radiant have the glyph online, they can forestall the push for now. But for how long? That's the real question. Jakiro will respond, but he's gonna be the only one who can defend for the next 8 seconds or so. But the wall is still up, so I don't think the Dire can actually take racks. So they will be able to take the tier 3, but I don't think they can actually take racks when Darkseer does respawn. Seems like they will try to attempt it at the very least. I don't know if they have enough damage. Darkseer is going to respawn, and smart move by the Dire. They're going to back off. They didn't have any BKBs up on the Gyro. Chaos Knight didn't have his own BKB. Are the Dire actually going to re-engage? They're going to recall the Storm Spirit as they are going to get a huge initiation off onto the Jakiro. Here comes the Darkseer. Will pop the vacuum wall, but the wall actually not clipping. Going to only catch the Keeper of the Light. Here comes a disruption, as seems like the Alchemist is going to once again be in a terrible situation. Will pop the Shadow Blade to safety, but Odie going to find himself stunned up. Will get perma-stunned down to death as he's going to get completely obliterated. Storm Spirit once again just looking to cause as much havoc as possible, and this should be the millbacks for the Dire. GG is called by Gameware as they realize they just do not have what it takes to defend against the onslaught of the Dire. BKBs were the name of the game for the Dire, and I think this was a complete outdraft by the Dire. I think that OD last pick just did not make much sense at all. And even though Storm Spirit made some questionable plays, not using treads, not getting 3 points in the Vortex, in the end game was accomplished. And the Dire are gonna win, so they will win the Vietnamese qualifiers, and they will move on towards the next round. So congrats to first thing, as Gameware just simply did not have what it took to defend. And I think Gameware's predictable lineup was the end of them in Game 3, as it was pretty easy to spot out what Gameware would draft with their choices. And I think 1st-Vietnam responded brilliantly with not only their lanes, but also their draft in general. But yep, thanks for watching. This has been a presentation of the AMD Dota 2 Premier League Season 2 in association with Dota Talk. I'm B-Ball, and you can follow me on B-Ball773 on Facebook, or B-Ball773 on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube for daily Dota content on YouTube. So check me out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Shouts to AMD as well as Dota Talk for presenting this tournament for you. Hopefully you enjoy the cast. Please follow me on Twitch and YouTube for more future videos. But I will see you all next time, since I think I am done for the day.